stop scrolling. What I'm about to share has never been said out loud. These are the raw, hidden truths the chosen ones carry in silence. If you've ever felt broken, cursed, or completely alone, this is for you. I'm about to reveal 9 painful things every chosen one experiences but rarely speaks about. This isn't feel-good fluff. Some of this will make you cry, some will make you angry, but it will all make you feel seen. So if your soul is tired of pretending, hit subscribe and type "finally" in the comments. Let's break the silence together. NOW, let's get into the 9 things nobody talks about. Dirty secret number 1. The shame of enjoying our own isolation. Sometimes we actually enjoy being isolated, and we feel guilty as hell about it. Here's what nobody talks about while we're crying about being lonely. There's a part of us that's secretly relieved when people leave us alone. There's a dark satisfaction in not having to perform, not having to pretend, not having to dumb ourselves down for others. You know those nights when you're supposed to meet friends, but they cancel last minute? Part of you is devastated, but another part of you is celebrating. Finally, you can be yourself without judgment. Finally, you can think your deep thoughts without someone telling you to lighten up. But then comes the guilt. What's wrong with me? Why do I prefer being alone? Am I antisocial? Am I broken? We shame ourselves for enjoying the very thing that allows us to recharge and connect with our true nature. Here's the dirty truth. You're not antisocial. You're spiritually introverted. Your energy gets drained by surface-level interactions and recharged by depth. Even if that depth comes from solitude, there's nothing wrong with needing space to be who you really are. I'll admit it. Sometimes I cancel plans just to sit in my own energy. Sometimes I lie about being busy because I need time to process all the emotions and energies I've absorbed. And you know what? I'm done feeling guilty about it. If you've ever felt guilty for enjoying your own company more than most people's, type "guilty" in the comments. Let's normalize protecting our energy. But enjoying isolation is just the tip of the iceberg. There's something even darker we don't talk about. Something that makes us question our own goodness. Dirty secret number 2. The dark pleasure of watching fake people get exposed. We get a twisted satisfaction when fake people get exposed, and it scares us. Let's be honest about something ugly. When that person who's been manipulating everyone finally gets called out, when that fake spiritual guru gets exposed, when that narcissist finally faces consequences, there's a part of us that feels vindicated, maybe even a little pleased, and then we immediately feel terrible about it. What kind of person am I? How can I feel good about someone else's downfall? Aren't I supposed to be more evolved than this? But here's the thing nobody tells you. You're not evil for feeling this way. You're just tired. Tired of watching people manipulate and lie while you're over here struggling to be authentic. Tired of seeing predators get rewarded while you get punished for your honesty. Your satisfaction isn't about their pain. It's about truth finally being revealed. You're not celebrating their destruction. You're celebrating the restoration of justice. Your moral compass is so strong that injustice physically hurts you. So when balance is restored, of course you feel relief. You've been gaslit so many times by people who convinced others they were angels while treating you like garbage. So when their mask finally slips, yeah, there's vindication in that. And that's human. The key is not to judge yourself for these feelings, but to understand what they're telling you. They're telling you that your sense of justice is alive and well. Use that information to protect yourself better, not to shame yourself for having natural reactions. If you've ever felt that dark satisfaction when a manipulator got exposed, and then felt guilty about feeling it, type "vindicated" below. Let's stop shaming ourselves for wanting justice. But that's not the darkest thing we hide. There's something even more disturbing that chosen ones experience, but never admit. Dirty secret number 3. We sometimes fantasize about disappearing completely. We fantasize about disappearing, and it's not always about death. Before I go further, if anyone is having thoughts of self-harm, please reach out for help. This isn't about that. This is about something different and equally unspoken. How many times have you fantasized about just ... vanishing, not dying, but disappearing, moving to a place where nobody knows you, starting over with a new identity, walking into the forest and never coming back to this complicated, painful existence. It's not that you want to die, it's that you want to stop having to explain yourself, stop having to carry everyone else's problems, stop being misunderstood, judged, and expected to be something you're not. You want to disappear from the role you never asked to play. Sometimes you imagine what it would be like if you just weren't here anymore, not dead, just gone. Would anyone actually miss the real you? Or would they just miss what you do for them? Would they even notice the depth of your absence? Or would they just replace you with someone more convenient? These fantasies aren't about escaping life. They're about escaping the performance of life. You're exhausted from pretending to be okay when you're not, from being strong when you're breaking, from being available when you're empty. Here's what those disappearing fantasies are really about. Your soul crying out for authentic existence. You don't want to stop existing. You want to start existing as your true self, without apology, without explanation, without having to manage everyone else's comfort with your truth. Instead of fantasizing about disappearing from your life, start disappearing from the parts of your life that aren't serving you. Disappear from conversations that drain you. Disappear from obligations that aren't yours to carry. Disappear from the version of yourself that you created to please others. If you've ever wanted to just vanish and start over somewhere nobody knows your story, type vanish in the comments. You're not alone in wanting to escape the performance. But fantasizing about disappearing leads to something even more twisted that we do to ourselves. Dirty secret number 4. We sabotage our own happiness because we don't trust. We destroy good things before they can disappoint us. Here's something sick that we do. When life starts going well, when happiness creeps in, when things feel stable, we panic. We start looking for what's wrong. We start waiting for the other shoe to drop. And sometimes we drop it ourselves. You've done it, haven't you? Pushed away someone who actually cared about you because you couldn't believe they'd stay. Quit a job that was going well because you were waiting for them to fire you anyway. Ended a relationship because you were sure they'd leave you eventually. We've been hurt so many times, disappointed so often, that we'd rather be in control of our own destruction than wait for someone else to do it to us. At least when we sabotage ourselves, we know it's coming. At least we're in control of the timeline of our own pain. And here's the really sick part. Sometimes we feel more comfortable in pain than in peace. Pain is familiar. Pain makes sense. We know how to function in crisis mode. But happiness, joy, stability, that feels foreign and dangerous. We tell ourselves we don't deserve good things. We convince ourselves that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. So we become detectives of our own happiness, searching for evidence that it's fake, that it won't last, that we should end it before it ends us. But here's what I learned. Self-sabotage isn't self-protection, it's we're punishing ourselves for crimes we didn't commit, for not being perfect enough to prevent past hurts, for being human in a world that demands we be invulnerable. The next time you catch yourself looking for what's wrong with something good, stop. Ask yourself, am I protecting myself or am I punishing myself? Learn to sit with goodness without searching for its expiration date. If you've ever destroyed something beautiful because you couldn't trust it to stay beautiful, type sabotage below. Let's stop being our own worst enemies. But self-sabotage is nothing compared to what we do to the people who try to love us. Dirty secret number 5. We test people until they break. Dirty secret number 5. We push people away to see if they'll fight for us, then hate them when they don't. Here's a toxic pattern we never admit to. When someone gets close to us, we start testing them. We become moody, distant, difficult. We create drama. We act out. Because we need to know if they'll stay when we're not perfect. But here's the sick part. When they fail our tests, when they get tired of our mood swings and walk away, we use it as evidence that nobody really loves us. We set them up to fail, then blame them for failing. We're so used to conditional love that depends on us being helpful, convenient, easy, that we can't trust unconditional love, even when it's offered. So we test it until it breaks, then use the broken pieces as proof that real love doesn't exist. We become impossible to love on purpose. We act out our worst fears. So at least we're in control of when people leave. We'd rather drive them away than risk them choosing to go. At least when we push them, we can pretend we didn't want them anyway. And the people who do stick around, sometimes we resent them for it. We think, if you can tolerate me at my worst, there must be something wrong with you. We punish them for loving us the way we claim we want to be loved. Here is the dirty reality. Some of us have become addicted to the pattern of push and pull. We've convinced ourselves that if love comes easy, it's not real. So we make it hard, complicated, dramatic. We confuse intensity with intimacy. But real love isn't supposed to be a test. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. People who truly care about you shouldn't have to prove it by surviving your worst behavior. They should be able to show it by witnessing your best self. The next time you catch yourself testing someone's love, ask yourself, am I checking if they care, or am I trying to control how they leave? Learn the difference between protecting your heart and punishing people for wanting to hold it. If you've ever made people prove they love you by surviving your worst behavior, type testing in the comments. It's time to stop making love a competition. But testing people is just the beginning of our relationship toxicity. There's something even more disturbing we do. Dirty secret number 6. We become addicted to fixing broken people. We're attracted to damaged people because they make us feel needed, and we call it love. Let's be honest about something ugly. We're drawn to broken people like moths to flames. The more damaged someone is, the more we want to save them. And we tell ourselves it's because we're compassionate, but that's not the whole truth. Every relationship you've been in, haven't they all needed fixing? The addict, the narcissist, the emotionally unavailable one, the trauma survivor who won't heal. You tell yourself you see their potential, but really, you see your purpose. Here's the sick reality. Broken people make us feel important. They need us. They depend on us. They can't leave us because who else would understand them? We become addicted to being someone as savior because it gives us a sense of worth we can't find anywhere else. And stable, healthy people, they scare us. They don't need us to fix them. They don't require our constant attention and healing energy. They want to love us for who we are, not what we can do for them. And that terrifies us because we don't know who we are without our role as the healer. We've become so addicted to the drama of fixing people that healthy relationships feel boring. We mistake peace for disconnection, stability for lack of passion. We've confused love with rescue missions. And here is the really sick part. Sometimes we enable people's brokenness because we need them to stay broken. If they actually heal, if they become whole, will they still need us? Will they still choose us? We pour all our energy into fixing others while our own wounds fester. We become experts at healing everyone except ourselves. We give away our power in the name of love, then wonder why we feel empty and resentful. But here's what changed everything for me. You can't love someone into healing. You can't care someone into wholeness. And you shouldn't have to prove your worth by how much dysfunction you can tolerate. Start asking yourself, am I attracted to their potential or their problems? Learn to love people for who they are, not who you think you can help them become. If you've ever stayed in toxic relationships because you thought you could save someone, type savior below. It's time to save ourselves first. But our addiction to broken people leads to something even more destructive. Dirty secret number 7. We collect pain like trophies. We collect our traumas like badges of honor and compete with others over who has suffered more. Here's something sick that we do. We measure our worth by our wounds. The more we've suffered, the more spiritual we think we are. The more trauma we've survived, the more credible we feel. We've turned our pain into our identity. You've done it, haven't you? Shared your trauma story and felt a little rush when people said, "Wow, I can't believe you survived that." Or felt slightly annoyed when someone else's story seemed more dramatic than yours. We've started competing in the Olympics of suffering. We've become addicted to the attention that our pain brings us. People listen differently when we speak from our wounds. They take us seriously. They treat us with care. And unconsciously, we start to believe that our pain is the only thing that makes us interesting. Some of us have become trauma collectors. We hold on to every hurt, every betrayal, every disappointment, and we polish them until they shine. We know exactly how to tell our story to get the maximum emotional response from others. And when we meet other chosen ones, we play who's had it worse. We share war stories like veterans, comparing scars like they're medals. We've made suffering a currency, and we're rich in all the wrong ways. Here's the really sick part. Sometimes we resist healing because we're afraid of losing our identity. If we're not the person who survived terrible things, who are we? If we're not broken, what makes us special? We've become so comfortable in our victim story that we do not know how to write a victor story. We know how to survive, but we don't know how to thrive. We know how to endure, but we don't know how to enjoy. But here's what I learned. Your trauma is not your identity. Your wounds are not your worth. Your story is not just about what happened to you. It is about what you do with what happened to you. Start telling a different story. Not the story of what broke you, but the story of what you're building with the pieces. Your healing is more impressive than your hurt. If you've ever caught yourself competing over who's suffered more, type collector in the comments. Let's stop making pain our personality. But collecting pain leads to something even more dangerous. Dirty secret number 8. We use our gifts to manipulate people. Dirty secret number 8. Sometimes we use our intuitive gifts to manipulate people, and we justify it as helping them. This is the one that makes us feel like frauds. We can read people like books, and sometimes we use that information to control outcomes. We know exactly what to say to make someone feel better, but also what to say to make them do what we want. Your intuition tells you someone's deepest insecurities, their hidden desires, their secret fears, and yes, most of the time you use that information to help them. But if we're being brutally honest, sometimes you use it to get what you need from them. You know which words will make your boss give you that day off. You know how to make someone feel guilty for not supporting you. You know exactly how to present yourself to get someone's sympathy, their money, their attention, their love. We tell ourselves it's for the greater good. We convince ourselves that we're helping them see what they need to see, do what they need to do. But really, we're using our spiritual gifts like weapons, and that makes us feel dirty. The worst part is that we're really good at it. People trust chosen ones. They believe we have their best interests at heart. They don't expect us to be manipulative because we're supposed to be the evolved ones, the spiritual ones, the ones who've transcended ego. And when we catch ourselves doing it, we feel like how can we be chosen if we're using our gifts selfishly? How can we be spiritual if we're being manipulative? How can we help others heal if we're using our abilities to control them? Some of us have become spiritual narcissists. We use our gifts to maintain our image as the wise one, the intuitive one, the one people come to for answers. We've made our abilities about us instead of about service. But here's the truth. Having gifts doesn't make you immune to human nature. Being intuitive doesn't mean you're above manipulation. Being chosen doesn't mean you're perfect. It just means you have more responsibility to use your abilities ethically. The key is awareness. When you catch yourself using your gifts for personal gain instead of genuine service, stop. Apologize if necessary. Recommit to using your abilities for healing, not harm. Ask yourself before you speak. Am I saying this to help them or to help myself? Learn the difference between guidance and manipulation. If you've ever used your intuitive abilities to get what you wanted instead of just helping others, type guilty below. Let's commit to using our gifts with integrity. But using our gifts manipulatively leads to the dirtiest secret of all. Dirty secret number 9. We're secretly angry at God, universe, for choosing us. Deep down, we're furious at God, the universe, source, whatever you call it, for making us chosen ones, and we feel guilty for feeling that way. Here's the secret we never say out loud. We didn't ask for this. We didn't volunteer to be the awakened ones in a sleeping world. We didn't sign up to be the healers, the teachers, the light. And sometimes We resent the hell out of it. You've screamed at the sky, haven't you? You've cried and asked, why me? Why couldn't I just be normal? Why couldn't I just be happy with shallow conversations and meaningless jobs and simple problems? We watch normal people live their simple lives, and we're jealous. They get to be ignorant. They get to be shallow. They get to care about things that do you and matter, while we over here carrying the weight of everyone else's awakening. We're angry that we can't just turn off our empathy. We're angry that we can't ignore injustice. We're angry that we feel responsible for healing a world that doesn't want to be healed. We're angry that we were born with open hearts in a world that punishes vulnerability, and then we feel guilty for being angry. We think, I should be grateful for my gifts. I should be honored to be chosen. But gratitude and resentment can coexist, and pretending they can't just makes us feel more alone. Sometimes we rebel against our calling. We try to be shallow on purpose. We try to care less, feel less, give less. We try to quit being chosen ones because nobody asked us if we wanted the job. And here's the really dark part. Sometimes we use our anger to justify our bad behavior. We think, if I'm going to suffer for being chosen, at least I'm going to get something out of it. We become bitter prophets, angry healers, resentful teachers. But here's what I've learned. Your anger is valid. Your resentment is understandable. And your guilt about feeling angry is just more suffering piled on top of suffering. You're allowed to be mad about carrying a burden you didn't ask for. Your anger isn't unspiritual. It's human. And maybe, just maybe, it's also part of your calling. Maybe your anger at injustice is what fuels your desire to heal. Maybe your resentment at the world's ignorance is what drives you to wake people up. Instead of feeling guilty about your anger, use it. Channel it into your purpose. Let it fuel your mission instead of burning you from the inside out. You didn't choose to be chosen, but you are. And your anger about that is just as sacred as your acceptance of it. If you've ever been angry at the universe for making you a chosen one, type angry in the comments. Let's normalize being human while being chosen. There it is. 9 dirty secrets that chosen ones carry but never share. 9 truths that make us feel crazy, broken, or alone. But you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're not alone. You're just chosen, and being chosen comes with a shadow that nobody talks about. Today, we talked about it. If you made it through this entire video, you'll be part of a very small group of people who can handle the full truth of what it means to be chosen. Not the sanitized version, not the spiritual bypassing version, the real, raw, dirty version. Now, I want you to do something revolutionary. I want you to stop keeping these secrets. Find one person, just one, and share something from this video that resonated with you. Break the silence, end the shame. Stop suffering alone. And if this video made you feel seen in a way you never have before, subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell, because we're rebuilding something here. A community where chosen ones can finally tell the truth about what this journey really looks like. In the comments, I want you to share which of these 9 secrets hit you the hardest. Use just one word. Let's see how many of us have been carrying the same burdens in silence. Remember, your darkness doesn't disqualify you from being chosen. Your struggles don't make you less spiritual. Your secrets don't make you a fraud. They make you human. And humanity is not the opposite of divinity. It's the vessel for it. You are chosen, shadows and all. And it's time the world knew what that really means. Until next time, stop keeping secrets that are keeping you small. The world needs your truth, not your performance.